Live and local stories, live and local guests, live and local hosts. Bernie and Sid in the morning.
I'm sure you know those brothers, two white brothers.
All right, Bernie and Sid.
On the air, on the app, 77 WABC.
Salvation Army band played, and the children drank the lemonade, and the morning lasted all day, and through
life in a northern town. Governor Cuomo very upset with an episode of The Simpsons where Homer sang a song. Really took some major shots at upstate New York, and it turns out that The Simpsons and Homer are exactly right. We've got a full board of calls. This new square is in Rockland County, and we're being told that a lot of the measles outbreak, along with, of course, Borough Park in Brooklyn, is centered in New Square. That list was on Google. I didn't make that list. Don't get upset with me. They had New Square as the poorest city in New York. I don't know if that's true or not, but our next guest may know. He's an assemblyman upstate New York, and he's a great guy, a frequent guest on this show. And lately he's been tweeting very nice things about me. That's why he's been invited on today's program. And that is Assemblyman Kieran Lalor. Good morning, Mr. Lalor.
Hello, Kieran.
Good morning, guys. I know how this game works. You know, you say a few nice things about the host, and you get more time on the air. Come on. It's not my first trip to the rodeo.
Well, it's not your first trip to the rodeo, but it took you 2 years to figure it out.
You've only been on the air for 1 year.
That's true. Well, we did 2 years of the midday show. It's our third year.
That's
but
right.
You're right.
I don't do midday. I'm a morning guy.
I don't blame you.
By the way, Kieran Lalor is an Iraq War veteran on top of everything else. I just want to point that out.
That's great. He still has to be nice to me.
Yes, but I just want to let people know that the man is a good guy, genuine individual.
He's a great guy. He's a great politician, and we would love it if he would replace this guy, Ed, whatever his name is, as the head of the Republican Party in this state. But your friend there did make a comment where he called out Cuomo, because Cuomo, I guess, said that upstate New York is back. And I'm wondering what exactly, what figures, what's he looking at that would have him say something like that?
I have no idea. When Governor Cuomo talks, you know, I often wonder what's his authority for saying that. The irony of this whole Simpsons controversy is I think Governor Cuomo views upstate exactly as the Simpsons view it. If you remember a couple years ago, he said there's no place in New York State for conservatives, for Second Amendment people, and most of his policies, whether intentionally or unintentionally, are designed to help the New York City metropolitan area, often to the detriment of upstate. So, you know, the problems in upstate that really exist that were highlighted by The Simpsons there, Governor Cuomo is offended by it, but he's to blame for the conditions of upstate New York. So it's kind of an irony, and I don't think they care that upstate is depopulating, that it has in many places negative GDP over the last 10 years that Cuomo's been in place. It doesn't hurt him electorally. The good thing is, from my perspective, now he's being hurt nationally from a public relations standpoint. You know, half of his state is being lampooned on the longest running TV show in history, and that hurts his future ambitions. So yeah. I think that's why he's upset. I don't think he cares about the people of upstate. His policies show that he doesn't, but now it's starting to hurt him in a way that it never could at an election.
Yeah, most of his votes, of course, as you just pointed out, New York State Assemblyman Kieran Lalor, they come from downstate, in particular New York City, where they vote for example, de Blasio. But some of his policies, of course, the taxes are prohibitive. I mean, the taxes are humongous here in this state, but also fracking. His ban on fracking, which doesn't make sense, which would help upstate New York. Tell us about the rationale for that.
Well, you know, good point. Broome County, where Binghamton is, that is a place that has actually had a 3% reduction in jobs since the Great Recession. So we went way down during the Great Recession. And in Binghamton, in Broome County, they've actually gone lower economically since the Great Recession. That's the place where fracking would have helped so much, and you have prosperity on the other side of the border in Pennsylvania. Right. And then you have this deprivation in a New York County because Governor Cuomo made a political decision, not a scientific decision, certainly not an economic decision. And actually, Governor Cuomo's anti-natural gas policies are starting to hurt downstate. In Westchester County, Con Ed said no more natural gas hookups because Cuomo won't allow the pipelines to go through New York, so they can't get more people natural gas. It's going to raise homes, the heating cost of homes, and it's gonna raise the cost of doing business in downstate. So his bad policies upstate are starting to affect downstate, and I hope that wakes people up.
We'll get back to upstate in a second. I do want to move to Long Island just for 1 second. Then we'll get back upstate. Cuomo's been hanging out a lot lately with Billy Joel. I know you've seen this, Kieran, the drilling, Long Island. What do you think about that whole deal? Cuomo's stance on that, and Billy Joel seemingly in step with Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, it hurts me because I paid a couple $100 to go see Billy Joel this year with my wife. I want to hear the Piano Man as much as anybody else, but I don't want to think about the man in the governor's mansion while I'm sitting in Madison Square Garden. I kind of get that. The people in Long Island, they don't want offshore drilling. I think that regionally you should be able to make decisions like that. But Cuomo's energy policies around the state are crazy. In that, where are we going to get our energy from? He wants to get it from the sun and wind, but in the meantime, okay, no offshore wind, so we're going to get wind from other places of the state. Upstate, who cares about upstate? We'll stick those ugly windmills upstate. And we're going to shut down Indian Point. We're not allowing natural gas. So I don't know how he's going to power this state of 20 million people in the future if he's relying on politically correct renewables that, sometimes the wind doesn't blow and sometimes the sun doesn't shine, but I still want to watch a Yankee game at night, so I don't know how he's going to
That's right.
figure that out.
Yeah, nuclear energy is squeaky clean, and for some reason it's taboo. It's off limits. But listen, Kieran, Lalor, there are some nice places upstate. Seneca Falls, Watkins Glen, Lake Placid, Ithaca, Saratoga Springs. I mean, it's not all doomsday up in upstate New York. Am I correct?
Yeah, definitely not. There are great places. A lot of those college towns are beautiful towns. The geographic beauty of upstate is tremendous. It rivals any place in the country and any place in the world. But we have New York City economic policies. And one of the things on The Simpsons that kind of got a laugh from everybody and everybody had to agree with was the potholes. Well, one of the reasons there are potholes is New York State policy makes it so expensive for your little town to fill the potholes because they have all these rules when you contract with a company to do municipal work. The state laws make it 15, 10, 30% more expensive. So these municipalities don't have the means to afford these things. In New York City, tremendous amount of wealth. You can afford those policies. But upstate, those policies don't work, and as a result, the potholes don't get filled, the bridges don't get fixed, the new wing on the school doesn't get built. And those are Albany-driven policies that benefit New York or are tolerable in New York but really hurt upstate.
By the way, no disrespect to my dear friend Jim Kelly, who continues to fight every single day. Buffalo is a dump too. My God, I've been there for football games. And the college towns are cute because of the colleges. Buffalo is kind of cute when you go to Orchard Park. Outside of that, that's another dump.
You want to hear a funny story about Jim Kelly and the New York State Assembly? Jim Kelly and Vinny Testaverde came to the assembly. I forget what they were promoting. And the guy who sits next to me represented the Buffalo area, and he introduced Jim Kelly and, praised Jim Kelly. And he's a good guy, charity work and everything. Then Jim Kelly left, and I turned around to the assemblyman for Buffalo. I said, if I had a constituent who lost 4 straight Super Bowls, I'd make him move the hell out.
By the way, want to hear something else? He and Testaverde were teammates at Miami. They had 4 quarterbacks on the roster, Kieran. Howard Schnellenberger was the head coach. Jim Kelly, Vinny Testaverde, Mark Richt, who just coached at Miami, and Bernie Kosar. How about that for a roster of quarterbacks?
Wait, is this Bernie and Sid or Sid Sports?
Very good.
New York State Assemblyman Kieran Lalor. Listen, you're a great guy, and keep up the good fight up in Albany. I know you're in the minority, but maybe things will turn around. Anyway, thanks for appearing on the Bernie and Sid show.
Anytime.
Great to have you, Kieran. Thank you, Kieran Lalor. As Bernie said, still to come, Bill Donahue, Joseph Abboud, Lewis Black. When we get back, Mets and Yankees both in action last night. Isles back on the ice today, and the run for the Roses coming up at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Sid's Blitz is next.
Getting hit by a train is never fun.
Bernie and Sid in the morning, 77 WABC.